Thank you, Dean Harden, and thank you for all you've done for the College of Communications. I also want to thank the faculty and the students and your families. I know most of you are wondering what's in store for you in the future and what it will take to get there. If I do my job properly today, you won't have a clue what's in your future. Just kidding, just kidding. Hopefully my insights should give you some idea how to proceed and what to expect. I grew up in Pittsburgh, and even though I was not a very good student, that's saying lightly, in high school my mother made it very clear to me, you are going to college. So in 1963, I applied to Penn State and was accepted. If I was applying today, it is highly unlikely that I would be accepted. My father had passed away when I was 16, so I had to work my way through Penn State. When I graduated, I did not want to be drafted into the Army, so I applied to get into the Air National Guard, and as luck would have it, I was accepted and had to report to training camp in Denver. As I was preparing to be released from my tour of duty, I thought, I really like Denver. Why not stay here and get a job? I called my buddy back in Pittsburgh and asked him to move to Denver with me. But he told me he had just accepted a job in LA and asked me to move there with him instead. Okay, I said, figuring it would be easier to move to a new town with a good friend than start my life in Denver knowing no one. So that was my big plan. Move to LA without any job prospects with my friend Jack. I interviewed at a few places and coincidentally met a motion picture agent. When he told me what an agent was and that you had to start in the mailroom at $80 a week, can you imagine $80 a week? I thought, no way. I was a college graduate with an economics degree. I could make $125 a week if I went to work at IBM. But the more I thought about it, the idea of being a motion picture agent intrigued me. Do you know why? My last term at Penn State, one of my classes was the history and the appreciation of the motion picture, a supposed easy A course, which I sorely needed to graduate. I loved it, I got the A, and then I thought to myself, why not a career in show business? So I started interviewing, and a month later, I started in the mailroom at an agency. 50 years later, I still love what I do, and retirement is not on my horizon. The mailroom, believe it or not, is a very valuable experience. You have to start somewhere. Your education can teach you a lot about your chosen profession, but those early entry-level jobs teach you the ins and outs of your industry, how things work, the lay of the land. Most of you will start at the bottom and work your way up. Don't be put off by that. Those early days in the business will give you an opportunity to learn what the business is about and to decide whether or not what you've trained for is actually for you. At your first job, you will be meeting other people who are also relatively new to your industry. You will start building a network. Networking is important, not only in looking for your initial job, but learning about how to get that next job. Call, text, email anyone who can possibly open a door for you. And I can't emphasize it enough. Networking is what it's about. It was a distant cousin in LA who put me in touch with her good friend, a pediatrician, who had a lot of patients who were in the business. He introduced me to an agent at the company I eventually went to work for. No call is wasted. Because once you get into the business, you're on your way. Coincidentally, my wife worked for that pediatrician. I met her through my buddy, who I moved to LA with, of course. And this July, we celebrate our 46th anniversary. While in the mailroom, I took notes for the motion picture meetings, became the driver for the head of the motion picture department when needed, and wrote coverage of movie scripts in longhand. Longhand. Can you imagine? I couldn't type, but I listened and learned a lot. I learned when you say you're going to do something, do it. No excuses. This is business. When you get to a position where there are people working for you and you ask them to do something for you, follow up. Don't assume just because you told them to do something, it will get done. There's an old saying that assumption is the mother of all screw-ups. The actual saying uses another word, but I'm not going to use that today. Be responsible, don't assume. 4 months after I started in the mailroom, the new head of the TV actor department needed a second assistant. Guess who got pulled out of the mailroom to be that second assistant? 4 months after that, my boss knew his department was undermanned, and so I was promoted to agent after only 8 months in the business. The only trouble was I was totally unprepared. I was lucky. I was made an agent so quickly, but I needed help. I was fortunate that an older agent took me under his wing, mentored me, and taught me what I didn't know. He became a good friend, and I was able to hire him years later. I was able to help him years later when I hired him when he needed a job. Remember, treat people the way you want to be treated. I know it sounds silly, but it's the golden rule, and it's absolutely true. Another old saying is, in the business is be careful not to step on people on your way up because they will step on you on your way down. And your way down is steep and inevitable. Your career can be wonderful and successful, but it can also have its downturns. Persevere. Now I was an agent and had been given a raise to a lofty $100 a week. I was selling actors to TV shows, only I didn't know what I was doing. I once got an offer for an actress to do a guest starring role on an episode of a TV show. I closed the deal and called the actress and told her about the offer. She said, "Great, I'll read it and let you know if I want to do it." But no one had told me the actress had to say yes before you close the deal. My life passed before my eyes. 8 months to become an agent, and a month in, I thought I was about to lose my job. Thankfully, the actress liked the role, and I was still employed. Luck is not a bad thing to have on your side. I then went on to make deals for 3 then unknown actors, Diane Keaton, Jeff Bridges, Michael Douglas, and many others. Even though I was in the actor department, I was allowed to start working for writers and directors, and before too long, I realized I was better suited to represent them than actors. I honed my craft and found I had a talent for finding unknown directors and developing their careers. By now, I was at a new agency and was still learning. Here's what I learned. Never take no for an answer. When the head of Universal said to me, "Are you crazy? You're trying to sell me Michael Apted, an Englishman, to direct Coal Miner's Daughter, a film about a country and western singer?" I reminded him that Michael had directed a great music film, was great with actors, and this was a script about a singer's life journey, not about country music. Michael got the job. The film went on to be an enormous success, and Sissy Spacek won the Academy Award for Best Actress that year. When the head of Universal laughed at me for trying to get director John Landis a percentage of the profits of Animal House, I pushed hard and finally got him 1 point of the profits. After the film was already in the theaters, Landis made over $1 million off of that 1 point. It was the same when I tried to sell George Lucas a client for Return of the Jedi. After many no's from George, my client got the job. While I pushed my clients, I never did so obnoxiously or by being a jerk. My next chapter was CAA, where I became the co-head of the Motion Picture Writer and Director Department. We were the hottest agency around and soon became the most powerful company in show business. I brought with me my writer and director clients and continued to build from there. I was able to sign Robin Williams after he starred in Good Morning Vietnam. I sold him into most of his biggest hits of his career, including Dead Poets Society, The Fisher King, and Mrs. Doubtfire. I visited Robin on the set of Mrs. Doubtfire. Imagine him in full Mrs. Doubtfire makeup. He starts to talk to me using his regular gravelly voice. How weird to hear that soft voice coming out of that old lady's mouth. When Robin performed the voice of the genie in Aladdin, Disney didn't want to give him a percentage of the profits, even though he basically rewrote the role as he improvised his performance. Because Disney didn't want to break their precedent on giving a profit participation to a voice actor, we finally agreed on a solution. Disney gave Robin a $4 million Picasso painting. Guess what? You can't take 10% of a painting on a commission. Oh well, the client was happy and it was worth the fight. In 1963, I was asked to become the president and chief operating officer at MGM. My client, Tom Cruise, called me and jokingly said, "Good for you, but you'll still be my agent, right?" I never wanted to be a studio chief, but when I thought long and hard about it, I figured I'd done everything I could do as an agent. Why not run a studio? When I started MGM, we had a 2% market share, lowest of all the studios. When I left there 4 years later, after successes like Get Shorty, Species, and Kingpin, we had an 11% market share. Being the head of a studio was fun. As my client Mel Brooks said in one of his films, "It's good to be king." It was. You're part of Hollywood royalty. So what was next? I was asked to start a management division for a production and finance company. That was over 12 years ago. And Echo Lake Entertainment has become one of the more important management and production companies in our business. I have 12 managers working for me now, representing, among others, Elle Fanning, Dakota Fanning, Mandy Patinkin, and many very successful writers and directors in both film and television. We've been involved in producing and or financing many films, including, and TV shows, including Truth, Alexander Payne's Nebraska, and John Carpenter's The Ward. I have mentioned a few things that might be helpful to you as you move up in business. Networking. Did I mention networking? Let's talk about it again. I did. It's good. It's important. Mentoring. Get a mentor. It's valuable. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Being nice is better than being a jerk, and honestly, nice guys don't have to finish last. Don't mistake kindness for weakness. Never assume. If you ask someone to do something, make sure it gets done. It's your responsibility. Be dependable. Don't let your ego get in your way. No one is irreplaceable. Personal integrity is easy to lose, so don't give it up. Once you've lost it, it's pretty hard to get your reputation back. Go after your dreams, persevere. There will be bad times, but you have to hang in there to succeed. It sometimes takes a while to achieve your goal. Be patient. Take your time and do it the right way. You can and will succeed. If I can make it, you guys can. So go out there and kick some butt and make me proud of you. Good luck.